I'm Ariana Grande.
Hi, I'm Cynthia Erivo,
And you're listening to the Broadway Podcast Network.
Visit bpn.fm to discover more.
There's a cat over here. There's a cat over there. And the wrong one died. And the wrong one died.
Welcome to The Wrong Cat Died, the podcast breakdown of the catastrophe. I'm your host, Mike Abrams, and today we have another great guest who I know is passionate about cats because I have seen it firsthand. While he's never been in the show, at least to my knowledge, you'll definitely recognize him from his work on Broadway in Be More Chill and Dear Evan Hansen, or on TV in Showtime's Billions. So welcome, Will Roland, and thank you for joining me.
Happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
I'm excited to have you on because we were at Broadway Con, and I was on doing a live episode, and then you came on Broadwasted, wonderful friends of Broadwasted, and you went through a monologue of cats.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm excited to have you on to talk about that.
Hardcore.
So let's start.
Yeah, happy to. I so rarely get to.
So let's start with your history. Like, when did you first see it? Like, was it your introduction as a young child? Like, when was Cats introduced to your life?
Okay, so I brought a little show and tell today. Of podcast. So show and tell is a great format. But I have here from the original production of Cats, the Winter Garden Theater. I have my playbill from when I saw Cats. So I believe that I saw it in fourth grade, which would be 1999, maybe 1998. I saw, I went with my parents. I distinctly remember we sat like on the aisle in the orchestra. We had like the full blown cat crawling over you experience. And it rocked. And I remember I got this, they sold this CD that I've yet to figure out what this CD is. It's like a vocal selections CD. So like you can get the full vocal score, and you can get like vocal selections from a show, which is like, just the hits. And this is like a CD that is not the original Broadway cast recording. This is not what I purchased in the lobby. It is some amalgam of like, I have like some London versions of songs and like some Broadway versions of songs that are like in my head, like the right ones. I don't know what this CD is. I'm like, it's one of the great mysteries of my life.
Did you get like a bootleg?
This like Strange Cat CD. No, I mean maybe we like bought a bootleg on the street. But I don't think so. This is like pre-CD burners. This is like, we definitely got this on the way out. I got the big souvenir program. It was like my parents balled out for me that day.
I love it. It's not like a cast album, which is what you expect to get. I feel like you actually didn't get in the theater. I think you bought the souvenir stuff, and then you got to the guys with the little taxi cabs on the outside, and one of them just had this like handmade recorded on a cassette tape from a boot, like one of those boom boxes.
Yeah,
that has all the different versions.
I like that idea too. It's I grew up on a bootleg Cats recording.
Amazing. So fourth grade, what did you remember? Like, what did you pick up on the show? Because that's young for a very dark plot that I'm assuming at this point.
I mean, I am now really intimately acquainted with the plot. I've always found the plot. I don't know. It's simple. We can get into the nitty gritty of the plot. But what I remember from in being in fourth grade seeing Cats, I remember the scenic design. It was incredible. I mean, the thing that they did with that original production, and this probably felt even bigger to me as like a little boy. But there were like the set just sort of like spilled out into the orchestra. And so there was all sorts of like junk and trash that sort of like went up the sides of the house, up into the mezzanine level, which they actually like the set was sort of a fairly, the 2016 production that you saw was like a fairly similar. I don't know if it was like an exact replica of the original set, but it was definitely like the same thing for the most part. The exception being that 2016 production was at the Neil Simon. Is that right?
Neil Simon. Yep, Neil Simon.
Much smaller space. So at the Winter Garden, it was like this gargantuan, like trash mountain that they had built. So I remember the trash mountain very distinctly. I remember during the overture and the and the naming of Cats, like sort of being climbed over by spandex riddled Broadway folks. And what else do I remember? I that's what I remember. And then I had the infamous VHS, the like, as far as I'm concerned, the only true recorded production of Cats.
Yeah, the 1998 movie, which is where most of the lure I think comes from is that that's a lot of people's introduction to the show if you weren't in New York and couldn't go see it over the years,
amazing.
or the mini productions.
It's an incredible document.
It's a true pro shot.
It's so good. It's got effects. It's got like lightning and stuff. It's so cool.
Yeah, they pushed the edge of CGI back in the day compared to the new movie.
It was amazing. It looks like they're like, it almost looks like aesthetically, it almost looks like the Dark Crystal. Like all the cats kind of look like Muppets, and then there's like weird like rotoscoped effects on top of it. It's amazing.
I do. I've seen it. The first time I saw it was on a plane, which was definitely an experience because everyone was looking at me. And then I've watched, it's the clips that are on YouTube. So if you really watch anything on YouTube, that's what you're going to see.
Yeah.
So that's how I learned a lot for the show, was from, that movie, that 1998 movie.
It's so good. It's really, really great.
So at this point, fourth grade, all of this is going over your head. It's just singing, dancing, cool set, a lot of like unique stuff. But you're not noticing that the ball's an orgy. You're not noticing that, that Victoria's having sex on stage. None of this is all going over your head, right?
All going right over my head.
Did you pick any of that? Like, when did you learn that stuff?
I think I was in high school or college. I sort of had like I had a moment, like a sort of phase in middle school and high school where I became too cool for like stuff that I love now. I was I'm very like sad that I never saw like the original production of Drowsy Chaperone, which is like absolutely would be my absolute favorite thing to see in a theater now. But I like when I was 16 or whatever, I was like, musicals aren't cool. I like edgy theater. And so I had this sort of like renaissance of loving some of my formative musical experiences when I was like graduating high school, starting college. And that was when I sort of like went back and I was like, wait a second, I really like listened to Cats and really like watched some of those videos. And I'm like, wait a second, this show rocks. And I have always been a person who pushes back on people who are like, Cats is bad. And I was like, what does that even mean? Also, like, I don't know. Tell that to the 10 million people who saw that original production.
Yeah. I've asked a lot of people who don't like Cats, because my goal is early on in this podcast, and we're 90 episodes in, was to find someone who could give me an articulate reason of why they don't like it. And everybody that says they don't like it just goes, nope, just not my cup of tea, or I just didn't get it. And I'm like, yeah, nobody gets it. That's part of the point.
The one that drives me crazy is people say it doesn't make sense. And I'm like, it makes perfect sense. It's, in fact, one of the simplest stories ever told on a Broadway stage. We need to decide who's going to heaven, so we're going to have a talent show. It is actually the simplest plot possible.
I'm still waiting. Everybody that always says it, I press them. And it's my number one question, and I've never gotten a good answer. And so one day I'm going to find somebody with an articulate answer, and they're going to be an episode to counter the 90 plus of fans.
I mean, I can tell you why I didn't like that very bad movie, but that's a different, that's a different ball of wax.
Totally different story. I mean, we can get into the new movie. I'm curious when you saw it. Like, how early did you see it? Like right around Christmas, right when it came out?
Oh yeah, I saw it twice in theaters. I saw it twice because the first time I went, I was annoyed because there were like people who had gone to like, because they heard it was so bad, and they were like, sort of just they were like. They were just annoyingly loud at the movie theater, and I was like, this sucks. Like, come on, I'm here to see this Gigantor show. And they were laughing at, like, it was like they heard it was bad, and then they were laughing at stuff that actually wasn't bad, but they just, like, had been given permission to think they didn't like it. Like, they were laughing, like, anytime anyone danced. And I was like, it's a musical. It's Cats. Like, people are going to dance the whole time. And, like, the dancing is actually quite good. The dancing is one of the strengths of this very strange movie. And then by the end, like, people were just, like, talking during Gus's song, and I was like, no, this is actually good. So I went to the Alamo Drafthouse to a rowdy screening, which I thought would be theater fans laughing at the stuff that was bad. But then it turned into like a bunch of like amateur comedians like practicing their tight five, like in the back of the house, like again, heckling Gus the Theater Cat. And I'm like, for God's sake, shut up for the like little kernels of this movie that are good. Like, let us enjoy them. And then let's all make fun of, like, when Jason Derulo gets covered in milk, or, like, whenever Rebel Wilson or James Corden do anything, because they were very bad in that movie. Don't tell them I said that.
I think you miss... They've all disassociated themselves from this movie anyways.
It did not work.
I think you missed it by like a week.
Yeah.
You missed it by a week. I think if you would have went the first week you got a unique experience because you got the unfinished show. So the very first week you got the unfinished show, which is what I saw. Which was crazy because it was clearly had some parts where I'm like, this doesn't look done. And then it also had, I saw press viewing, so it's like it should be a group not laughing, and they were at least laughing at the appropriate parts to laugh, where it was like, oh, this is ridiculous. But then it got to the point where it's like, like you mentioned, everybody went to just go laugh at it, whether they have any idea of the source material or not. But a couple people I talked to, it depends on where you went. Yeah, totally. What I enjoyed is talking to people in like the Midwest who went basically ended up in theaters by themselves. Because like at that point they were like the hecklers were gone, and they were like, I went and I was sitting there with 2 other people and we had a blast because it was like, they were just them there watching it, but they were also fans of the musical, knew what they were going to see, and like were excited about it. Yeah,
I mean, I think there was some interview I read it once and I haven't been able to find it, where Tom Hooper like basically sort of like confessed to being like a pervert for cats. Like he sort of was like, it was a real sexual awakening for me. And I'm just like, and he like infused all of his like weird repressed, I mean, like we said, the show is fucked up. It's got a lot of like weird sexual stuff that's baked in there, but he like really leaned into it, and they added this like weird romance plot. And I was like, this is not what this is about. And again, like Jason Derulo covered in milk. Like this was not, nope, wrong.
I love it. I didn't know Tom Hooper was a furry.
Yeah, he is a furry.
I didn't know he's part of it. That makes a lot more sense. I always just thought he had an Andrew Lloyd Webber obsession, because didn't he do Les Mis?
He did. That's not Andrew Lloyd Webber.
The movie too. So I think okay, it shows how much I know about Broadway. Yeah. Okay, never mind. He's just a Broadway fan. Because I think that the joke is like, what else is he going to make next? Like, what movie does he want to butcher next? Although I didn't think Les Mis was that bad, but I don't know Les Mis well enough to like have true opinions on the movie. I just remember it was long. That was my only gripe when I saw the movie. Not even in theaters. Yeah. So, okay. Well, now I'm embarrassed. We're not going to cut that out, though, because I don't know anything about Broadway besides Cats. Right. So, I love it. So, how many times have you seen Cats on stage since? Is it just 4th grade?
No, I saw the 2016 revival.
Okay. When did you go? Did you see Leona Lewis or did you see Mamie?
I saw Mamie.
Okay.
Duh.
Great. So you saw it after the
good one.
After the beginning.
Oh, I saw the good one. No shade to Leona Lewis, but Mamie Paris is a treasure.
I'm not going to say that because I send Leona Lewis a message about once a month trying to get her to come on here. So I'm not going to say anything about the performance. If you do, don't quote her when I say that Mamie Paris is a national treasure. And I think she's incredible. And I loved that, like, everyone sort of was gagged over her production in that, her performance, because it was amazing. I remember I saw it, and I remember going, not knowing, again, still super early and living in New York, not knowing anybody, and then seeing her belt memory being like, oh my God, who's singing this? This is unbelievable. So yes, it is. And then I think, there's a couple on YouTube you can find of her performance. It's just unreal. And
I mean, and she did it at like events too. And it was like, I think I'd actually seen her. Oh no, it was afterwards. I saw her do it at like a gala or something. And I was like, she does it every time.
Yeah. I want to hear when you were on Broadway City, you talked about the career arc that you can have. And I just remember it was Andrew and Leslie sitting next to you, I think, on each side, or maybe like
you
next
had to
you.
choose a show to have your entire career inside of. And I was like, oh, you do Cats. There's a million great roles. You sing great music for the rest of your life.
I was sitting in the back, like yelling, like, this is next, because I like being there. But I was mesmerized by Leslie's face.
Oh yeah.
Because she just looked like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, she thought that I had like disassociated and like gone into a trance. It was as if I was speaking in tongues next to her. She'd never seen anything like it.
Yeah. So you've thought about this. What is that career arc? Let's and you can hear the whole funny back and forth on Broadwasted too, but I'd love to hear what your path was.
I mean, there's a whole crop of young cats. There's a whole crop of youngsters, and you could just like bang, 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 do all of those. And now again, there's like this sort of situation where one of the problems with an acting career is that it breaks your brain, because when you start out looking at theater and like dream roles and things like that, you just like see the role and you're like, that's the role I like. But then when you like try to make an acting career, you're like, oh, but I can't tap, or like whatever. So like, so like right off the bat, like, you start with Victoria, you start, that's the like, the cream, you are the person about whom this is all being presented. You're the audience, basically. You work through all those youngsters. Yep. You can do a Rum Tum Tugger. You could play Mr. Mistopheles 7 different times in the course of your life, because the Mr. Mistopheles is on Broadway ranged from like 22 to 45 years old. So like you can just keep popping in and out of that the whole time. But yeah, you can do like you could do Electra and Demeter. You could do like, you could do Jenny Annie Dots. That's another one you could do twice. But you can do a bunch of young cats. Then there's like the middle-aged cats who are the Bustopher Joneses, the Skimble Shankses, the McCavities. They're all like, they're middle-aged. They're not quite over the hill yet. And then there's like the elderly cats. There's Grizabella. There's Old Deuteronomy. There's Gus. And then it's just like bang, 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 bang. You do all these great cats. Did I miss anybody? You can play. Oh, I want to go Jerry and Rumpel Teaser. That's fun. You can do that on opposite nights with your best friend.
Yeah. I mean, you covered the key ones. I think you've got Monkish Trap if you want to narrate one time. Right. You've got Jelly Lorem with Gus. Yeah. It is interesting because Bustopher Jones, Gus, and then I think it's Peter in 2016 are all the same cat. Right. So just in itself, you play 3 different ages in one night. Yeah, which I think is, I think that's lazy. I think Bustopher Jones should be I think Gus should be like the ultimate princess track. I think like it should be like you should get the greatest actor around who's like old and beloved. You should put him above the title, and you should be like so-and-so in Cats as Gus. Like it should get single line billing. It should not be like somebody pulling out, like putting old man makeup on. Gus should have pathos. I love it. So that's such an interesting idea, because right now Gus has like a pretty rigorous track with the dance and the ensemble in the beginning, and then Bustopher Jones is one number to then completely remake-up, redress. You're saying stunt cast it almost, like Chicago or like some of these other ones. I love that idea. Who would you stunt cast first?
Who would I stunt cast first? At this moment, I would see if like Christopher Lloyd wanted to do it, or if let's see, who are some great, like I would see if like maybe Martin Sheen wanted to come in and do it.
Martin Sheen, yeah, that would be a Gus I would love to see.
Who are some other like great national treasures? Like maybe I was talking about somebody yesterday being so old. Oh, like what if Harrison Ford wanted to come in and be Gus? Like that would be, Harrison Ford. I don't know, all kinds of great people. You could get some great Brits in there. You could get, Ian McKellen, obviously. You could get like maybe Patrick Stewart comes in. They don't need to really like sing.
Yeah, that's true. It is very much kind of like a reading line. They're not. It's an old man telling stories. Which in the '98 movie they did that. And I forget his name. He was knighted, but he was blind. He was like 90 when they did it. He did not do Bustopher Jones. They brought him in. They walked him on stage. Like Jelly held his hand, walked him on stage, and he sang, and then he went off.
It's beautiful.
So there's precedent for you, basically.
I want to do. Yeah, my production would be like unsustainable because it would have like too many people and too much stuff. But it would be like a modern retelling of that '98 recorded version.
Tell me, okay, wait, walk me through that.
It would just be like so. The whole production would look like the most expensive thing you've ever seen in your life. It would just every single thing like would move and light up, and there'd be magic. It would be like a Harry Potter scale production. In my version of Cats, and it would have like 1 million people in it. No one would double. There would be like zillions of cats. There would be too many cats to have them all on the stage, so you would always have cats in the audience, cats in the aisles, things like that. Like it would have a cast of like 65.
I love that, because I do think one of the things that like really impresses me, especially talking like the swings, is they're on stage like the entire show. Like they get a break maybe during Mungo Jerry and Rumpel Teaser, but like they go from the ball to like. Grizabella gets 15 minutes on stage, and the rest of them are on there almost the entire time.
It's the they're in like a show like that. The people who dance those tracks are the hardest working, lowest paid actors on Broadway, and it's nonsense because they're they're incredible. They're doing something that 99.9% of people couldn't do, and 99% of actors can't do. It's an absolutely astounding job.
It is. It's mind-blowing. It's really, that was my, like, as someone who knew nothing going in, walked out being like, this is the weirdest thing I've ever seen plot-wise. that was my biggest takeaway. Is I just kept thinking, and I was pretty close. I had decent seats, like really good orchestra seats, and I was like, I can't believe that they're all doing this in full makeup on the ground on top of each other for 2.5 hours straight. Yes, because there were so many
in the
injuries.
original production, they did it on a rake that was later deemed to be illegal. Like you cannot build a rake like that anymore. Equity simply won't allow it because too many people got hurt doing Cats.
Yeah, I didn't know that was a thing until I started interviewing people this show, and then that just made it, again, 10 times even more impressive of like, wait, you're doing this on an incline, too.
Illegal rake. My friend Garrett, when she auditioned for the original production, was auditioning for Jenny Antidots, I believe, and she said she lost her footing at one point while she was tapping, and she just tumbled all the way down the stage. She was like, you can't stop yourself. You're just rolling.
We're going to take a quick break, and then we'll be back for more of The Wrong Cat Died. I want to switch gears a little bit because one of my favorite things to do is to compare Cats to other source material, so TV shows, other musicals. And I thought Billions, and your work on Billions as Winston, I thought there was a lot here to work with. So, and I'm a fan of the show. So I was excited when I saw you pop up in, I think it was season 3. I was like, oh, there's Will. I was like, that was really, really cool because I had just seen you, I think, on Broadway, and loved the show. So let's compare some of the main characters to Cats and who we think they would be. And I've thought about this a little bit, but I'm putting you on the spot.
All right.
So let's start with Chuck Rhodes.
All right, so let's see. Chuck Rhodes, I think Chuck Rhodes is either Old Deuteronomy or he's Bustopher Jones.
Okay, give me a little bit of reason. I had him as Monkey's Trap, and I can give my rationale why.
Oh, you have him as Monkey's Trap. Okay, I understand that. Is it because of his his sort of loquaciousness, his narratorial proclivities?
A little bit of narrative, but I also see Monkey's Trap being second in line kind of gives me a little bit of the submissive of like, I'm just waiting my turn. I'm kind of following orders. And he's got his whole BDSM fetish that goes through the whole show. Right. So just kind of fit that's where I kind of was taking my thought for it.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good... I also think Skimbleshanks is a sub, so...
Really?
Chuck could also be Skimbleshanks by that logic. Oh, my God, 100%.
All right, tell me more before we keep going.
Not at work. At work, Skimbleshanks is so type A. He's the most fastidious, the train's late. But at home, Skimbleshanks is absolutely getting tied up.
I don't think I've ever thought about that. So I'm now trying to think back.
Oh, you haven't thought about Skimbleshanks' sex life at home?
No. There's a lot of sex life thought in the show, so that's why I'm like, I have, you've thought a lot about who's with who and who might be, doing what with which cat. But Skimbleshanks is one that just hasn't come up. He seems like the uncle, fun uncle. Although someone got mad at me for calling him the creepy uncle, so maybe that does fit.
No, he's not. He's not the creepy uncle. He is the fun uncle. He's also, I don't know. Skimbleshanks is, I love Skimbleshanks. If I could dance like that, I'd play Skimbleshanks for the rest of my life. It's my favorite cat.
I love it. Okay, Bobby Axelrod.
Bobby Axelrod. He gives me low-key McCavity vibes because he's a criminal, but he also gives you Rum Tum Tugger charisma. So I don't know.
Spot on. I had him as McCavity. I just thought there's a little bit of crime boss.
Yeah, McCavity sun sign with Rum Tum Tugger rising. Yeah, you got to do these you got to do them horoscopes.
Yeah, exactly. I do have Cat's astrology signs. It's on the Wikipedia fan page. Each one has been deemed an astrology sign, which is strange that somebody spent the time to put each one of them on a Wikipedia page. What about Wendy?
If I've learned anything about Wikipedia, it's that people really take a lot of time to do stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. Wendy Rhodes.
Wendy. Wendy's Grizabella. Wendy's our leading lady. She's our, she's not old, but she is our, Wendy Rhodes. And I think the thing for me is I associate it too much with the power of the actor. So Grizabella to me is a Betty Buckley or a Mamie Paris. And to me, that is it is about the actor's presence,
Yeah, I definitely see that. I had her as Jenny for the same way of a motherly, but also whipping the mice into shape type of thing. Like I saw some of that power dynamics, but I do see Grizabella from that.
I think Maggie Siff is singing our 11 o'clock number on Billions. So she's that's the problem with me is I always view these things too much through an actor lens, and I'm always like, oh, who plays that person? And that's how I'm like do it. Like Giamatti plays your old Deuteronomy. Oh, Giamatti would be a great Gus stunt cast.
Yeah, yeah. Very
oh my
true.
God, Paul Giamatti as Asparagus, sign me up.
I love it. What about Wags?
Wags is Mr. Mistopheles. He's got that mischievous trickster energy.
Ooh.
I mean, there's a lot of trickster energy in the show, I guess. He could also be both Mungo Jerry and Rumple Teaser.
I think we're thinking the same way. I went with Bustopher Jones because I just saw him being a little bit of in the crime family. And similar kind of like just demeanor and body type, but the Mistopheles makes a ton of sense.
Yeah, I mean he's a mercurial trickster character, which I suppose Bustopher Jones is as well. The problem with Bustopher Jones is, I'm just gonna say this: I think Bustopher Jones is sort of a throwaway cat. I think I could just toss Bustopher Jones from the show. That's my controversial opinion.
So it's not that controversial because he is cut from the 90-minute Royal Caribbean cruise. So he was the first. I mean,
cut. It's the kind of number that you put in a show to cover somebody's quick change.
Yeah, I completely. I do think
also
it's a little
his
bit of
whole personality is he's fat. That's his entire in a show where I am not one to criticize the writing. I'm like, that's it. That's all you got for BJ. He's fat,
rich, and eats. That's it. He's a pimp.
We don't know anything else about but he eats and fat. They make that the same thing, and I'm like, this is not a character. This is not even being fat is not a personality. Everyone else is like, I'm a cat who does magic. I'm a cat who's like an old wizard priest. I'm a trains cat. And it's like, I'm fat. It's like that's not a personality.
I've written a lot more backstory to Bustopher Jones than I think is really there. I think he's the money and the actual funding behind McCavity's crime ring.
I mean, yeah, that's probably true. But I mean, there's only so much sort of subtext we can. I think one of the things you must do with this show is take it at face value. And I think I try not to get too deep into the what else is going on. I think what's happening is what's happening, and that's why it's so good. That's
interesting because that's what has led to this podcast going so much deeper, is because originally I was like, oh, let's just talk a little bit about the cats, but at face value it is what it is. But it's when you dig behind the scenes of why did Grizabella leave, why is she chosen, why is this here, then it becomes fascinating.
Yeah, I suppose you're right.
Okay, let's do two more.
Taylor I'm just
Mason.
A simple man. Promise I'm stupid. Oh, Taylor Mason. Taylor Mason is, oh man, I'm gonna say Taylor Mason's I don't know. See, this is a problem. Working with Asia, they have real Rum Tum Tugger energy, but Taylor does not.
Yeah.
So so I immediately went Rum Tum Tugger. They're so much fun. And Taylor Mason, the character is not nearly as fun as the Rum Tum Tugger. Thanks. Taylor Mason is tightly wound.
That's a good answer. I went with Mistopheles. I very smart, magical, although the part of it's also a little, I thought there could be some Mungo Jerry Rumple Teaser.
Yeah, I mean there's also something very sinister about Mr. Why does he know how to do all this stuff?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a whole different story. What about Winston? How would you cast yourself?
Oh, Winston. I mean, I think Winston is half of the Jerry Rumple Teaser. I think there's a couple of duos on the show. So there's Winston and Ryan, and there's Tuck and Ben Kim, and I think they're both Mungo Jerry Rumple Teaser, we just work for the boss kind of energy.
Exactly where I had it, so love it. Let's do some rapid fire about cats. So if you could go on, we talked about the arc of what you could do, but if you just had one night you could go on, forget if you could do it, to your point, you're not thinking about ability.
Yeah.
Which cat?
Whether or not I can tap.
Which one are you going on for one night?
I want to be Gus.
I love it.
Well, I'm doing Stuntcast Gus. Yeah, I'm not doing Gus and dancing my tuchus off. I'm sitting in my dressing room thinking about my career in life for 2 hours, and then someone's going to say, Mr. Roland, they're ready for you, and I'm going to walk down to the stage and do the second half of my song. After
intermission. And then you come in for 8 minutes on stage. Yeah.
Yeah. And ideally, it's the thing that makes people. Makes me cry.
It's emotional. It's an emotional song. This is good for my last question. Who are your favorite and least favorite characters in Cats?
Oh, favorite and least favorite characters. I think I've Jones.
Yes,
is Bustopher Jones. He's got to go. And then the thing is, I keep talking about Gus. I love Gus. I'm fixated on Gus, but I love Skimbleshanks. I love Skimbleshanks.
Okay,
I love Skimbleshanks so much. I think he's wild, fastidious, high-strung nut. And I do think also, I think that's maybe my in the show, which is part of the, like, it's my favorite, like, if I'm feeling blue, I might put on Skimbleshanks the Railway Cat and bob my Haitian.
I love it. That was my next question, but I also you've definitely thought more about Skimbleshanks outside of the train than I think most people, if you're thinking about him being tied up sexually, you know, when he's home.
I mean, that's what I think that I about Skimbleshanks being tied up sexually, but I'm saying, like, if you ask me, I know the answer because I know Skimbleshanks as a person. And Skimbleshanks is like, I'm so type A at work. I'm always running things. I'm always the boss. And when I go home, like, Skimbleshanks wants to be told what to do in all other aspects of his life. So you could, you know, like, ask me, like, you know, what does Skimbleshanks order at dinner? Skimbleshanks has what you're having. Like, Skimbleshanks is just absolutely doesn't want to make a decision, doesn't want to be in charge of anything outside of his very high stress job.
I love it. So I did not mean to accuse you of being Tom Hooper with your fixation on Skimbleshanks.
I am not Tom Hooper. I'm not some cat's pervert.
Yeah.
Because I just understand the personality of this character and therefore can answer all these hypothetical questions. Where did Skimbleshanks go to school? Skimbleshanks went to a really high pressure elite boarding school that really messed him up. And is really like, so now he just feels like he has to grip everything and just wants to release at all times.
Are you familiar with Cat's Tumblr?
No, and I don't.
Primed for it. So Cat's Tumblr, which I learned about early, is there's a group of fans, and I thought it was going to be very different. It's way more wholesome than what I was expecting it to be, because I did get briefed on this from someone who's deep in it.
I find a lot of the Tumblr Broadway fandoms to be very wholesome.
But they go through and they have created their own characters, or they answer and portray as the cat. So they put them in like normal human-ish situations, and then they have the interactions with each other. So I feel like you are primed to do this for Skimbleshanks.
I mean, maybe. Yeah, just expanded universe. Skimbleshanks, you know, Skimbleshanks goes to the grocery store.
Yeah, I mean, there's
Skimbleshanks is upset because this time of year. Like,
I think you could, with every current topic, you could have a Skimbleshanks opinion.
Skimbleshanks is going up, and he needs to find a new neighborhood to live in, and all he cares about is the commute time and the reliability of the train.
The pound's crashing. Is that what Skimbleshanks does?
Skimbleshanks is sitting around saying Bank of England is doing, buying back bonds.
Yeah,
that's what Skimbleshanks is doing. But he doesn't like to talk about politics at home, but he has opinions.
That feels right. Okay, coming back a little bit to Billions, if one cat was working at a hedge fund, which cat do you think would be best in the hedge fund world at Axe Capital?
At Axe, I mean, that's probably McCavity. McCavity's got big, like, you know, Vic.
I'm calling out his character. He gave me Tugger vibes too, just over the top,
100%.
Confident. I love it. Okay, final question. This is the $1 million question. Is this whole podcast is centered around that I don't think Grizabella is the right Jellicle choice. And so I'm curious who if you're old Deuteronomy, who are you picking to go to the Heaviside Layer and why?
Am I picking to go to the heavy side? This is such a hard decision. It's a hard decision because I think the show sets you up to sympathize with Grizabella, of my sort of broken brain, like, oh, we got to send Gus to the Heaviside Layer. He's ready to be reborn as a new young actor. Yeah, I don't know. I think Grizabella is the Jellicle choice.
Oh, that's a deep question. I think
if you think Grizabella is the wrong choice, you must think there's a better choice.
Well, it depends on how you analyze the show. So that's where I'll start. I think if you look at it from a singing competition, which is where my first time I saw it, my joke was I saw Leona Lewis, I saw the X Factor on drugs. And so I thought, who am I going to combine? Because that's what they do, Fifth Harmony, One Direction. So I wanted Tugger and Mistopheles together. Yep. Those are my favorite performances. I think Skimbleshanks could get in there, but I was scarred by Skimbleshanks because the light hit me in the face and I was blinded for about like 30 seconds. So I have a lot more hate towards Skimbleshanks than I know roots from that experience.
They build a whole train. That's the best number in the show.
I know, but the one light was pointing directly at me.
The best number in the show. You need to reform this opinion, Mike.
I gotta keep seeing it so I can be like and sit the other side of the theater so I don't get hit. But so I think that. But if I really if I'm putting a thoughtful brain on, I do think the whole arc is Grizabella's coming back to be with her family, and I find it weird that you're just gonna murder her instead of letting her have a year with her family. So I do think that the logical answer is Gus.
Yeah, it's time for him to go to the Heaviside lair.
I've
never understood why old Deuteronomy can't go himself.
Well, that's a good question of when is it his turn, and if you're Monk and you're waiting.
I know he has to make the Jellicle choice. Yeah, right. Is he some sort of has he entered into some religious order that absolves him of the he's like a cat shaman, and he's I can't actually undergo the rite myself because I have to administer it to others. I mean, if he has a sacred duty, I understand, but I think he deserves it. He's very much a spiritual community leader to these cats.
They make it seem like Monk is in line, though. So that means that there'll be a moment where he takes over. And so when is that? Yeah. I do love the conspiracy theory that old Deuteronomy is a serial killer, and this is his way to hide it, which is fun.
She went to the Heaviside. Oh, my God.
But here's why I'm sticking with you on this, though. So you're picking Grizabella. If you stunt cast Paul Giamatti, and you have him go out there, and you don't pick him, you think he's coming back on the next night?
That's what I'm saying. Well, but you're also stunt cast Grizabella for many, many years. They just,
this is true.
They didn't quite do it with Gus. So, you are sending Betty to the Heaviside lair. She definitely won the talent show.
That is fair. Which again goes back to what's your first introduction to the source material, and mine was Leona Lewis, which is different than Betty
Buckley. Who did I see? Wait, let's look in my little thingus. Who did I see as Grizabella the glamour cat?
Could have been Liz Calloway. Could have been. I'm trying to think of what time you were in there.
I saw Linda Balgor.
Don't know Linda. Dude, amazing.
I mean, again, I was wow. Okay, got it. Shame on me. Shame on me for not knowing Linda Balgor. Listen to this. I mean, she was in 2 national tours. She was Norma Desmond on the first national tour of Sunset Boulevard. She was also in. Oh my God, she was in The Fix. I love The Fix. Weird musical.
See, you should know this stuff. I shouldn't. I thought did Les Mis, so this is your wheelhouse, not mine. Yeah,
that's true. That's the kind of stuff I know. Wait, but I did see crazy. Listen to this. I saw Chris Catelli. Is that right here? As Mr. Mistopheles? Where is he? Mistopheles. No, Jacob Brent Catelli. Is he one of these guys?
Jacob Brent was original, I think, right?
Really?
I think he was. He's also.
Let's find out.
He's also been heavily involved with a lot of the productions after.
Oh. He played Mr. Mistopheles Cats on video.
98. Okay, so it's the 98 movie. There you go. That's what it was. Not the first.
He played the role when the company broke the record for longest running Broadway show. He was in the original Las Vegas company of Starlight Express. Yeah, so I saw a great Mr. Mistopheles, which probably had a huge effect on my enjoyment of the show.
This era that you went to is probably the least covered I've been. I've talked to a lot of 2016, a lot of current tour, and a lot of the early the National Tour 3, which is right around the original Broadway. But this 90s era is a group that I have not broken into very much. So this is a group I need to talk to.
Chris Catelli was Pouncival in this production.
Pouncival.
And I saw Selena Carvajal, now known as Lena Hall.
Wow.
Selena Carvajal was
and she's on isn't Lena Hall, didn't she just join what did she just join? She just joined Little Shop in New York, I think.
Is she playing
I'm almost positive she's joining. Yeah, that got announced a couple weeks ago.
I think she's quite good. I'd love to go see her do that.
So
I gotta go see.
I love it. This has been so fun talking
This has been great, Mike.
All ties to Cassidy.
Talking about Cat.
How can people stay in touch with things you're working on, social media, keep up with everything you're doing?
They can follow me on Instagram, which I don't use. They can follow me on Twitter, which I basically only use to tweet about housing reform. They can catch me on seasons 3, 4, 5, and 6 of Billions. I think hopefully season 7. We'll see.
Wow.
And besides that, I don't know. That's where you can find me. But I tweet about stuff. My Instagram is it's got underscores, so it's actually _Will_Roland, and my Twitter is Will_Roland, and yeah.
It's just empty
Excellent.
space.
If they follow me on those platforms, they are guaranteed to not get what they signed up for.
And whenever you get a thing, so you let me know and I'll link it so people can follow along your musings.
Yeah, I will. Yeah.
Amazing. This has been so fun. Thank you again for being an amazing guest.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks everyone else for listening to this episode of The Wrong Cat Died, the podcast breakdown of the catastrophe. To follow along, you can subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or anywhere else you listen to podcasts. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram and TikTok at The Wrong Cat Died, or check out our website, thewrongcatdied.com.